So at some point last week, I was scrolling around on Twitter and saw that there was a new series coming out in Weekly Shonen Jump called Kagurabachi. This would be completely unremarkable otherwise. However, the first chapter already got leaks for some reason. And the leaker was all like, "Ooh, you guys, you're not gonna believe this. This one's good. This one's gonna be big. It's gonna be a hit." And I guess just because it's a new Weekly Shonen Jump series and it's about a swordsman and sorcerers and stuff like that, everyone went, "Oh boy, it's another one. Great." And the entire week leading up to the release of the actual chapter was full of all of these edits and shit posts about Kagurabachi being the next big thing. It's like Morbius. It is truly the Morbius of Weekly Shonen Jump, and that it's this completely unremarkable thing that gets announced, gets a lot of big hype for some reason, and everyone goes, "Wow, that's hilarious. Let's irony post this into hell." So that's what they did. Now I gotta say, some of those edits, they've been great. They've been fantastic. That's why they're going to be the only images I use in this video, because you know how Shueisha is, and that's funnier. So the actual chapter came out, and I decided to read it. I gave it a look to see if this is indeed going to be the next big thing, or if it's some hot garbage. And if there's one word I can think of to describe this chapter, it would be unremarkable. I don't think there is anything of particular note about this chapter, good or bad. Now, because I'm me, I'm mostly going to be complaining for the rest of this video, which hopefully won't be very long, as I talk about how generic this chapter is. There is just nothing particularly interesting about it. None of the characters particularly stand out. The premise doesn't particularly stand out. The art doesn't particularly stand out. It's good, but it's, standard good. It's about the standard I would expect for a Jump series, especially Chapter 1 of a new Jump series. Nothing about it is particularly amazing or particularly offensive. It is mid by every definition of the word, by the true definition of the word. Just medium. Not really good, not really bad. It's just there. And I don't feel anything about it. However, the first chapter of your series is probably supposed to make me feel some things, so I guess I complain about not feeling things. The premise of a revenge story, it's not very original. The main character being this angsty swordsman guy is not particularly original. Dead Dad's not particularly original. Dealing with the Yakuza is not particularly original. Dealing with sorcerers isn't particularly original. It's just the most generic thing Jump could put out. You ask me to design my idea of the Shonen Jump series, it would be something like this. It's the most bog standard thing they could release. The thing I guess I don't like most strongly is the main character is just so boring. Chihiro, the only character whose name I remember, he's on a revenge quest for his dad, who we get to meet at the start of the chapter. I guess like the first half of the chapter. Now, obviously, our flashback backstory, sort of building our main character's relationship with his father, who then dies in some manner that we don't get to see, and then he goes on a revenge quest for, should make us care about both of these characters, and it really doesn't. Chihiro's dad has what I could best describe as artificial quirkiness, and that he kind of acts like you would expect someone's dad to act, but then he just has these really random character quirks that aren't very interesting or particularly entertaining. He's just quirky. Artificially. It was like the author thought, how could I make this guy not like all those other dads? Oh, I know, he's a bit of a silly Billy, a bit of a weirdo. We've already gotten that with like Ishin from Bleach, just being kind of a silly guy, kind of a goofball. Whereas with Chihiro's dad here, it's just like, what if he talked to his fish and had weird body language sometimes? Yeah, I don't care. And you know what? It really doesn't seem like Chihiro cares that much either, because it would be one thing if we see him in the present and he's become this dark, stoic, brooding protagonist who has lost the thing most dear to him and his heart is consumed with hatred. Every day he looks at his scar in the mirror and he experiences fresh hatred. It's such shitty 2000s edge. But you look at him in the flashback and he is exactly the same. This motherfucker has the exact same facial expression for the entire chapter. Even in the past. Even when he's a wee little 14-year-old whose dad is alive and he hangs out with him and works with him every day and puts up with his bullshit every day. He has the exact same facial expression. He is so unemotive. It's crazy. I don't give a shit about this guy. He's just not interesting. He just seems like a really boring, bland protagonist. You combine that with a very generic premise that you don't really do a very good job at trying to make interesting. I don't care. I'm not very interested. I got like halfway through the chapter and I went, how much of the chapter is left? I'm only halfway through it. This is going to be a bit of a slog. It was boring. It was boring. Some of the action stuff was kind of cool, but it's nothing I haven't seen in better chapters. I know it's chapter 1 of the series, so, you shouldn't go comparing it to shit like Bleach. Let's do a smaller series, a more modern series. Sakamoto Day. That's just Takamura shit that he's doing. He's cutting dudes in half like that? That's nothing. I'm not going to be impressed by a little trick like that. I am not sold on Kagurabachi. It just seems unremarkable. It doesn't seem very interesting, and I don't think it's really going to go anywhere. Why did this get approved by Jump? Well, I don't know. You tell Jump that your protagonist is going to be a swordsman who fights some sort of magical beings, and they'll let you publish the chapter. They'll let you run for a bit, and then you join the under 19 club. Because I also guarantee you, Jump Editorial has a bit of an itchy axe arm. They don't want to get too rusty. They need to keep the blade sharp. It's been too long, so they need a new thing to put out so they can axe it within a couple months. I imagine this will be the fate of Kagurabachi, much like pretty much any other new, unremarkable thing that gets released in Jump. So that's what I expect to happen. I have no interest in following this series. Don't expect me to do any reviews on it. I just wanted to make this because all of the Kagurabachi shit posting is really funny, and I'm capitalizing off of it for views. But with that, that's all I got for today's video. I'm not doing any more Kagurabachi videos, so don't subscribe for those. I have a whole bunch of other stuff. You can go look at the playlists for them on my channel. And subscribe if you like those things. Or if you just like me. I would be very flattered. But until next time, I'll see you guys around. Take care.